All right, guys, welcome back to another video. Lots to talk about today as we are getting into the summer showcase season. There will be lots of stuff happening, lots of things to cover. But before we get into today's news, make sure to hit that subscribe button if you do enjoy daily gaming content. Also, check out the link to my Spotify. It is in the description of the video. Let's start off here and let's talk about Clockwork Revolution. Is this a game we are going to see at this year's Xbox Showcase? I have a feeling that we will, because when we did first hear about it and see the reveal for it, it looked like it was coming along pretty good. Probably a sooner rather than later release, maybe somehow a surprise release for 2024 or early 2025. But Clockwork Revolution is tweeting out some stuff and giving us more information about this game. One of the things that they did tweet out was that they say, and weapon crafting / modding. So there will be weapon crafting and modding within Clockwork Revolution. And we have a breakdown here from Hazard Gaming giving us kind of everything that we know right now about this game. It does sound absolutely phenomenal from In Exile. They're very good with their RPGs and their choices and all of that stuff. So I foresee no difference with this game, and the setting and everything looks very, very cool. But this is what we know so far. It is a deep FPS RPG. There will be dark humor within this game. That's always cool. Full character creation. So we'll see how that sweet is when they do show it off, how in depth it does go. There will be branching dialogue systems, massive reactivity. So I guess how you react and act within the environment and the world that you're in, it will probably see lots of different cool scenarios popping up, which is always fun. There will be steampunk weapons, weapon crafting and modding, and a dynamic time bending combat. So just kind of gives you an example as to how the combat is going to work. I'm sure that you can do something, reverse it, change it, and just have all these different scenarios play out. They say there's interconnected role playing and good and bad consequences. So Clockwork Revolution is shaping up to be, I think, one of as showpieces here coming up from Xbox's first party. I'm very excited to get more information, more of an in-depth look at the gameplay itself. I kind of hope that's what they do here at this year's Xbox Showcase. They're going to have, I think, trailers, smaller clips of stuff, and then they'll probably have more in-depth for certain games. And by in-depth, I just mean like a slightly longer, not like a 20-minute presentation or anything. But I hope that's kind of what we get here with Clockwork Revolution at the Xbox Showcase. The fact that they're teasing it and hinting at it on X before the showcase, I feel like it will be there and we will have a lot better idea as to what the game really plays like and when it is going to be releasing. Now, when it comes to another game people have been waiting and asking for a long time about, we've heard about all the different things with Everwild, with the development and the redevelopment, and we've had actually Matt Booty say that it's not as bad as people were making it out to be. But we have a bit more information here, and basically that the game is still in development. This says Everwild is still alive and in development at Rare, as per Windows Central just coordinated. It says it's a multiplayer co-op experience, but no confirmation if it will be at the Xbox June showcase. Out of all of the games that Xbox is working on, people have their preferences and everything, but I feel like Everwild is that one where there's just a lot of question marks around it. So if they were to end up actually showing this off, this would alleviate a lot of that. People still, I think, believe this game may not even ever come out, or it won't be out for a very long time. But maybe it is a bit further along than we know. We only have that original trailer that we saw, which pretty much left it up in the air in the style of game that it is. So it would be very, very cool to see if they just talked about it at all. I feel like they won't. I would be very surprised that because it's been gone for so long that maybe they're thinking, let's just wait right now, since we've already waited a long time before we want to show it off or do anything with it, so that when they do show it off, it is in a great state, so there isn't more questions than answers that come out of it. So I feel like we won't, but it would be pretty shocking to me if we do see Everwild at this year's Xbox Showcase. Now, if you remember Hypercharge, there was a huge marketing campaign around this game, released on PC and everything. And one of the things that people were asking is, why wasn't this game on Xbox? And that was a whole different story. It was just there was more development needed for it. And it has now released on Xbox. And we can see here that they have sold over 25,000 copies on Xbox in less than 24 hours since its release. Here is the Hypercharge X. They tweet this out. Okay, I'm really emotional right now. We've just sold over 25,000 copies of Hypercharge on Xbox in less than 24 hours. And thanking everybody for purchasing the game, which is pretty big because I believe on Steam it had like just over 1,000 people at its peak concurrently playing the game. So it's doing very well here on Xbox. There's, again, a large marketing campaign behind the release on Xbox. This is like a shooter you're in a toy store, you're playing as toys. And a lot of people were excited about this game. And when they did show it off, and were sad that it wasn't on the Xbox platform. And now that it's here, hey, Xbox gamers are going out there and buying it and supporting this indie game, which is a good thing to see, because there's a difference here. There's complaining and being outraged about games not releasing on a platform. And then there's the people who actually purchase the games that you release. You have a lot of vocal minorities that go out and bitch and complain about everything, but then they don't actually go out and support the games when they do land on the platform. But it looks like here it is happening with Hypercharge Unboxed. We will see what the total amount of sales are at some point. I'm sure Hypercharge will make another announcement. All right, let's jump over to talk some PlayStation stuff. We talked a little bit about this after the PlayStation Showcase, but this one is continuing to make the rounds online. That is God of War Ragnarok. It is releasing on PC. And as we know, PlayStation has had some issues with releasing games on PC, some controversy with forcing people to sign up for a PSN account, even for a single player experience where there really is no reason. And the biggest thing out of all of this, why it's bad, is because it cuts off many regions of the world that would go out and purchase this game and play it on PC if they didn't have to make a PSN account, or they're going to obviously go through other means, selecting different countries and stuff, which is, they can do that with making a PSN account, but it still cuts off a lot of people who just don't want to go through that hassle. And they're doing it again here with God of War Ragnarok. It says here that the game Steam page also confirms that a PlayStation Network account is required, and it's subject to the PlayStation Terms of Service and User Agreement. It says this was further confirmed at the start of the State of Play presentation, with a statement reading Sony Interactive Entertainment games for PC require an account for PlayStation Network. So I wonder how big of an effect this will have. We do know that the game will be delisted in like 177 countries, which is, or not be accessible there, which is what happened with Helldivers 2. That blew up hugely. Difference between Helldivers 2 and this is Helldivers 2, when it first released, you did not need a PSN account, and they kind of threw it onto people after they went out and had already purchased it and were playing it normally. So with this happening at launch, at least people can know about this before they actually go out and buy. But it makes no sense from the consumer perspective. From the PlayStation perspective, I believe it's because they want to keep you within their ecosystem. They want your data, and they're going to eventually be releasing a PC launcher where you have to have a PSN account. So they're trying to get people locked in now on PC, rather than putting out the launcher and telling the PC gamers, hey, you need a PSN account, and then risking them just never playing any of those PC games whatsoever through the launcher itself. So we'll see how this works, how this backfires. I still think it will sell well, but there will definitely be sales that they do miss out on. Just out of principle, people won't be signing up for a PSN account to play this game on PC when it's just a single player experience. There really is no real reason why Sony should be implementing this, but they are, and they're going to continue to do it. They haven't backed out here, and their games are probably still going to sell well, which will reinforce them making this decision. Now, the other thing Sony is doing is mobile games. We've talked about the switching strategies in gaming, moving away from console exclusivity as the way to grow. And PC and mobile are going to be the future. We know what Xbox is doing, ABK purchasing that, Candy Crush and King and the COD Mobile and Diablo Immortal. So they're already set right now within the mobile side of things. They're going to be releasing also a mobile store for Xbox games. And PlayStation is going to be following those lines like they have with PC. They're going to be following along those lines with mobile. Herman Hulse talked about being excited for upcoming mobile games. So it says here, during the time, Sony has quietly been building a team of experienced mobile talent, hiring people from Apple, Kabam, Meta, Tencent, Super Evil, Megacorp, Samsung, Niantic, Zynga, Riot, and more. And according to an active job listing, the company is looking to create a new platform focused on free-to-play mobile games. So Herman Hulse also discussed this at their business update that they had last week. And he says here, on mobile, we've been hard at work on establishing a very strong, very seasoned core mobile team. We are really excited to extend our experiences to new audiences in the mobile space as well. He says, we're taking a little bit more of a measured approach compared to the more aggressive approach that you've seen on PC. That is because PC is obviously more adjacent to the core of our development than mobile is. And nevertheless, we're taking a strategic approach also in the sense of working with some of the leading companies in this space. He says, we're working with various partners such as NCSoft, and we're learning a lot from these collaborations. operations. And he says, and let me conclude by saying that we're very excited about upcoming title releases that we can communicate in the future. So PlayStation, they are going all in here on mobile, free to play, and they're going to be littered with microtransactions because that's how you make a ton of money off of mobile games, just with very small, minor microtransactions over long periods of time. People are spending like hundreds and thousands of dollars on some of these games, and I think that's what PlayStation wants to cash in on, and it makes sense. We've seen the numbers from the console exclusivity side. The console market isn't growing. Their cost of developing their big AAA games is going up, but they're not able to really sustain that solely from selling games only on the PlayStation consoles. So they have to find out other ways to branch out and make more money to be able to continue to bring those major experiences, those big AAA experiences that PlayStation fans know and love. And that, the way that's going to be is putting games on PC, branching out into mobile, and being able to subsidize $350 million development costs that we've seen come out of their studios. So we'll see how this does. We'll see if anybody really takes to the mobile PlayStation games, because the reality as well is mobile market is pretty established with games that people already play, and how many of them are going to want to jump over and spend a bunch of money in different styles of games. We've seen other companies try this like and not do very well. We've seen the Doom game come out, didn't do great, that they had to actually shut down that studio. Nintendo put out mobile games like Dr. Mario and Dragalia Laws, like those shut down as well. So it's not a guarantee moneymaker here if they don't do it right, but we'll see how mobile gamers specifically take to these PlayStation games. Now, PlayStation, they had their showcase. For a lot of people, it was pretty lackluster, and we didn't get really more information about any major first-party games coming out, whether it's this year or next year. It looks like it's going to be another pretty dry year from their first-party studios, but there apparently is going to be one more announcement here, and that has to do with a game we've kind of already heard about leaked, and that is the Horizon Lego game. This is from the renowned tipster Midori, known for the Sega and Nintendo related scoops. And Midori says that the post informs players that the more information regarding Metaphor ReFantazio and Sonic X Shadows generations will be relayed during the Summer Games Fest. And adding to this, Midori say that we can expect announcements to more titles from SIE Studios. So we don't know what that is, but we have heard about Horizon Forbidden West in Lego version, and they do make it plural here, so there could be another big game coming out or announced for PlayStation. And one of the things here, it says Ghost of Tsushima 2. I mean, that would make complete sense. Jeff Keighley and Kojima, we know how that goes every single show. He gives them tons of airtime to talk about his games, and maybe this is one of those games that they are going to be announcing or showing off more of at Summer Games Fest. So lots to look forward to, and we'll continue to obviously track everything that gets announced by all of these showcases throughout this week. Now, when it comes to Days Gone, that's a game at PlayStation that I think a lot of people loved and would have loved to see come back. I played Days Gone. I thought it was decent. I don't think it was the best game in the world or anything. I think there's a little bit of nostalgia just because of the fact that we're probably not going to get another Days Gone, but it was a good game. Would love to see how they kind of expanded out and made it better for a second version of the game. And we have a new report here saying Days Gone director, Sony execs were never fans, hence no sequel. This was a post published on social media by Jeff Ross, and one of the senior team members who worked on Days Gone, writing this. A lot of people still ask me if there will ever be a Days Gone sequel, so I submit this poster as evidence it will never happen. Sony higher-ups like Herman were never fans, so you won't hear about it at the PlayStation State of Play today or ever. So if you were hoping for a Days Gone sequel, it's not happening. Sony wants nothing to do with it. There was that report that came out a couple years ago where Ben Studios wanted to make the sequel, but they got forced to go work on the Last of Us remake with Naughty Dog. And that's kind of been, I would say, the story right now this generation from PlayStation has been just a bunch of the remakes and stuff that they have put out, because they know people buy those, less development costs, and they're going to be able to have better profit margins on those. Whereas the new stuff, the new games that they have put out just haven't really been there. And a lot of people would have been, I think, in wanting to see this sequel. I think it could have done decently well here, but obviously PlayStation didn't believe in it and they have abandoned that IP. Now, when it comes to Sega, we did see at the Game Awards, one of my favorite announcements was Sega bringing back their old games and giving it just a brand new look, brand new remake in Unreal Engine and stuff. And the games looked really cool just from the quick view that we did see of them. But now we have more information of kind of what they are planning to do here with all of Sega's slate of games. Again, this comes from Midori. So a number of the games have been pushed to fiscal year 2028, including games as a service titles based on Jet Set Radio and Crazy Taxi. And the games as a service titles will be coming after the full Unreal Engine 5 remakes of Crazy Taxi and Jet Set Radio. So they're taking these IPs and they're releasing multiple versions of them here. They really want to cash in on those old titles that they do have. But here's what Midori says. Internally, both Jet Set Radio and Crazy Taxi plans had already been previously delayed 2 different times, including the original reveal dates for the projects. It says the previous plan before this month was set to release Jet Set Radio remake and reboot in 2026 and Crazy Taxi in 2027. And then it says the remake titles were supposed to release a short while before the reboots for fans of the original titles who did not want to play the games as a service reboots that are currently in development. And then speaking of the remakes, they say that Crazy Taxi and Jet Set Radio remakes were very similar to the originals, and they will have some features, improvements, and additions. However, the multiplayer for Crazy Taxi will be included in that game, and the Day 1 cosmetic DLC is also planned for the games. And in addition to those 2 games, Midori says that Golden Axe was originally planned to release in 2023. But then they say it got to the point that marketing plans were created for the game, but then obviously plans changed internally with the game, not yet officially revealed. And now Sega of America is more involved in the development and marketing of Sega titles than before, and the communication has become more consistent between Sega of America and Sega of Japan for these titles as a part of a global initiative. It is not just for the Sonic titles. So Sega has a huge plan here for taking these old IPs, these old titles, and remaking them and then giving new versions of these games. And I think it's actually pretty smart because people love this stuff and were very excited when they saw this. There's lots of Crazy Taxi fans, there's lots of Jet Set Radio fans, Golden Axe, all the stuff that are coming back within the remakes. And if they do them well, they aren't just cash grabs trying to cash in on people's nostalgia. I think it will pay dividends for them where they'll be able to create sequels of these games and have longevity across them. So I'm actually pretty excited with Sega's plan here. They thought, let's just jump into our back catalog, which of course we've seen lots of remakes and remasters and stuff, but some of these games people have been wanting just never thought would see the light of day, and they're redoing it from the ground up with Unreal Engine 5. So I think that is pretty cool. All right, to end off here, let's talk about Take-Two and Private Division. It looks like the studio is going to be sold off or shuttered, or something is going to be happening to it negatively, as we saw some reports here that Private Division wasn't publishing Bloober's game anymore. And it looks like here that Take-Two is trying to get rid of it. It says Take-Two only just laid off 5% of its staff in April, but now is reporting looking to shift its indie publishing label Private Division by selling it or simply closing it. So this kind of all goes along. It makes sense because Take-Two came out with their financial reports and they were canceling a bunch of games, and some of these games that were being canceled were Private Division ones that were being published. And now that they're getting rid of those, there's probably just nothing for them. So they're looking to offload the studio. It says back in April, Take-Two announced it was laying off around 500 staff, and the following month saw a report that the studios behind Rollerdrome and Kerbal Space Program 2 are both being shut down. And Strauss Zelnick claims that it didn't happen despite the evidence to the contrary. Now, a new report from IGN says that not only these closures are imminent, but they're part of a large move by Take-Two to either sell off or shut down the entirety of its indie label Private Division. And IGN claims it was able to independently confirm that Kerbal Space Program Dev Intercept Games is set to close on June 28th, and Roll 7 also is winding down with a small team remaining to tie up loose ends. So this is just the continuation of what's happening throughout this entire year of studios being shut down and people laying off. So if you're a fan of games that Private Division has published, it looks like Take-Two doesn't really want anything to do with it anymore. We'll be moving away from these indie titles that they previously were putting out. But I will end the video together, guys. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up. If you're new here, hit that subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.
We'll be right back.